I grew up in one of the last eras where live TV was still a big thing. When I was growing up, at least with the people I talked to, it was still normal to sit down at a specific time and watch a new episode of something as it aired. However, I feel I was pretty much at the tail end of that, because when I was watching these channels, while live TV was still the main way to watch them, I was also around when they were all getting their own apps that allowed you to watch the episodes on there, and even witnessed some beginning to prioritize these apps over live TV. Child, I got a 4th generation iPod Touch for my 9th birthday. And I enjoyed my time with plenty of the new apps this thing gave me access to. And while Madagascar Join the Circus was quite revolutionary, we're not getting into that today. Because one of the first apps nestled in between classics like SpongeBob Marbles and Slides and Angry Birds Space was none other than the Disney Channel app. In terms of these types of apps, this one was probably the most basic. It was just a list of their shows, and like every other one of these apps, you get a random selection of episodes that were rotated around and changed every week or so. Usually you'd have the most recent episode as well as some random ones. It's funny to think that this was the standard of these apps at the time, because thinking about it now, it does not sound ideal at all. If you wanted to watch a show you'd never seen before, you'd have to either hope they have the first episode, or just jump in wherever. But I guess that was also how you'd start watching any show at the time. You'd just watch whatever episode the channel wanted to show you. But Disney Channel didn't really have any shows that you needed to watch in order to understand, for the most part. Despite the inconvenient setup, I did start watching multiple shows using this app, like Austin and Ally. But put that show aside, because I did start watching an actually good show with this app. One of the best children's shows ever made. That show is, of course, Gravity Falls. Dog with a blog! But all jokes aside, I did start watching both of those shows on the Disney Channel app. And when it came to both of those, I actually started both of them with the first episodes. With Gravity Falls, it was because that was all the app had, because it was the only episode out at the time. And with Dog with a Blog, I don't know, I guess I just got lucky. This app didn't really have any interesting features that made it stand out. The most interesting thing I remember it having, which is really just the bare minimum, is a watch history. And I could be misremembering this part, but I also remember it having a glitch where the age rating for everything in there was shown as PG-13, which I just remember being weird because this is the Disney Channel app. Why is that rating even an option to be put on anything? While I had a good time with the Disney Channel app for a little bit, it soon got overshadowed by what is sure to be any 9-year-old's favorite app, the Xfinity app. It just had all the same shows and more and different episodes of said shows. I think this app was pretty much just the episodes that Xfinity's on-demand service had. And you could watch live TV on it too. And while I had access to pretty much every TV channel, I was 9. So I wasn't really using it for much beyond Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. And we'll get back to Nickelodeon later, but for right now, we're moving forward a few years. I'm now 12 and have graduated from my iPod 4 and am now using a tablet for all my mobile games and other things of that nature. And while a bigger screen to play Dumb Ways to Die 2 on was definitely appreciated, I don't remember using said bigger screen to watch much TV. But I do remember that I downloaded the Cartoon Network app. With my nice new tablet at my fingertips, I then threw it in the trash and downloaded the Cartoon Network app on my 3-year-old iPod instead. Why did I do such a thing? Well, I saw this video and realized that the old Cartoon Network app I could only get on this iPod had TV show episodes, games, a way to both watch shows and play games at the same time, and this interesting gimmick called the DNA Lab, where you collected things from watching episodes of shows and playing games that you could then use to collect basically digital trading cards of different characters. And what really got my attention was the inclusion of older characters in this. Because when I was 11, I discovered YouTube legend who made the aforementioned video on the Cartoon Network app, Hi Guy Rules, who then led to me beginning to watch a lot of nostalgic cartoon reviewing YouTubers, including some less favorable ones.
Personally, the only butts I like staring at are the butts of animated women.
But all these videos turned me into an 11-year-old jaded 30-year-old who thought cartoons were so much better back in my day. You know, back before I was born. And while the app had old shows on there, the old ones only had clips and not full episodes. So I had no real way to get the things required for the DNA Lab minigame, because I couldn't go back on my morals and watch any of that modern trash. Yeah. Then by the time I actually started watching modern Cartoon Network shows, the app was taken down, ripped from my hand in its prime. I then later got the newer Cartoon Network app on my tablet. This one was much lamer. No games, no DNA labs, and just episodes of shows. And sure, I used it, it just wasn't too exciting. However, it did the job. The first episode of Adventure Time I ever watched, What Was Missing, was watched on this app. And around this time, my favorite show on the channel at the time, The Amazing World of Gumball, started releasing its episodes on the app about a month or so before they aired on TV, throughout the end of 2015 and the beginning of 2016. And then that suddenly stopped. I also looked at what was going on with a lot of the other currently airing shows around this time, and none of the other ones began airing online. So, I don't really get why it was specifically Gumball at this time. My best guess was that it was just an experiment that didn't really pan out. But while the episodes airing on TV is the format I'm more nostalgic for, I do have to admit that this became the way I watched almost every show I kept up with around this time. Because even if the episodes weren't debuting on the app, they'd usually make their way to the app right after they aired. For example, I remember using the Nickelodeon app to watch a lot of SpongeBob Season 9, especially the back half. Speaking of which, no app was more exciting to me than the Nick app. I remember seeing ads for it on the channel as well as on their YouTube channel, where they had classics like this ad.
Introducing the new Nick app.
Say what?
It's jam-packed with radical awesomeness.
Say what?
However, at the time, it only worked on tablets, and all I had was my iPod. So I tragically had to wait a bit until there was a version for iPods. And it did come out eventually, and it still had everything I could want. I was able to watch SpongeBob episodes, random shorts, and other weird things like this.
Squidward's back! I heard that. Squidward's back!
OMG!
Squidward's back! Pineapple! Squidward's back!
Which I thought was hilarious as a child. I could also play games, vote on polls, and press this do not push button, which I used to press constantly until it began cycling through the same animations again. I also, embarrassingly enough, used to consistently watch the Little Sam and Cat show, which would come out after a normal episode of Sam and Cat, and starred these badly animated versions of the characters, obviously not played by the actual actors.
Let's find out which fan made it into the show this week. This week's fan is...
Me!
No, not you.
And then they'd have some weird challenge or random behind-the-scenes thing, and that was the show. I don't really know why I felt the need to watch this consistently, but I did. But I don't know if I watched it throughout the entire run of Sam and Cat. I don't feel like I would've, because I didn't really like normal Sam and Cat much by the end of its run. But I do remember watching one episode that apparently came out after the run of the show, so maybe I did. Unfortunately. But on that subject, yeah, the Little Sam and Cat show actually went on for longer than the normal Sam and Cat. One of the last episodes was even made to promote Henry Danger, which, after watching iCarly, Victorious, and Sam and Cat, Henry Danger was the first show of this lineup that I didn't watch as a child. But, as I mentioned before, I also used this app to keep up with SpongeBob. I apparently missed the airing of Safe Deposit Crabs, so the first time I watched that episode was on the app. Same with Yeti Crabs. And then when I got distracted from SpongeBob for about a year, I then used the Nick app to catch up on all the episodes in the back half of Season 9 that I missed. I also have fond memories of all the times I was able to find an old game I used to play on Nick.com deep in the app's ass cracks. Like when I was able to find the classic game Tasty Pastry Party, where you could cook and feed a cat to Patrick. But Nick.com's games can be a topic for another day. But all these apps are gone now, aside from the Cartoon Network app. So let's see what it's like these days. Well, it looks to be pretty much the same, just with baby shows now added. But while the era of watching live TV is pretty much over, the era of watching TV on these apps is also over. Because now pretty much everything is either released or watched by most people through streaming. But while the apps are gone now, I'm still nostalgic for them. Sitting down with my little iPod and watching great shows like Dog with a Blog, baby!